Hi, this is Enrique. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here today with Blake and his good friend Nico. We're right here in Florida near Clearwater. And today I do have an interesting story. Nico here, he is a foreman for a general contractor in the St. Pete Beach area near Hillsborough County. And we would like for him to give his side of the story with the hurricane relief. These past couple weeks, there's been a lot of controversy about everything that's been going on. And there's a lot of people out here that are currently having to rebuild their homes. Some of the homes do not have insurance, some do, but there's a lot of difficulty for the people in this area.
The main problem is all the stipulations between FEMA and the insurance companies. So you have to do certain aspects through the insurance companies in order to get paid. And then on top of that, if you want to get FEMA assistance, you have to do a certain criteria of expectations in order to get your FEMA aid. But if the total damages on your house are more than 50% of your house, you have to either rebuild your house completely or you have to raise your house, which is upwards of $300,000. So these people are really struggling down here because A, they're getting people who don't have contractor licenses and they're doing this stuff freelance. And so when these people are finished doing their work, the homeowners aren't getting any money back because they don't have a drying certificate, they don't have a remediation certificate, and they're not going through the right channels. So these people are finding out the hard way that you could possibly be out of pocket for the whole entire thing, because unless you have these certain permits and these certain specifications for, redoing your house, you could be out for the whole entire bill. And that's where we come in. We come in and I work for a general contractor who goes through all the proper channels, who gets all the permits done, and we're rebuilding these houses up to specifications so that way that the homeowners can receive every bit of the FEMA assistance and every bit of their insurance. And it's so hard because these homeowners that just went through, some of the worst things they've ever dealt with in their life, losing their home and everything that they have in it. These insurance companies that they've been paying into for 20, 30 years, 10 years, 5 years, their main goal is not to pay you what you need to get back to normal.
No, this is very interesting. This is pretty much boots on the ground knowledge. There's a lot of people here in the U.S. that don't really know what's going on and the intricacies when it comes to dealing with this hurricane relief. And I know that a lot of people out there, they criticize FEMA. I know FEMA has been going through a very difficult time as well. The U.S. is not allocating its resources correctly, in my opinion. And I know Blake here had a couple questions for him as well.
Yeah, Nico. So as far as the clients and customers that you guys have right now for the general contracting work, what are you seeing as far as their personal financial situations? Are they well off? Are there some working class family? Are there some folks that are really tight as is and now they're extremely struggling? What's kind of the scene as far as that goes?
Well, most of the clients that we have are friend of friends and people who've already known my general contractor. So we currently have 6 houses that we're finishing up right now. So from the time of the hurricane to now, we're just now getting people back into their homes, getting people showers, getting people fridges, getting people kitchen sinks. And, most people don't understand that from the time the hurricane hits, it takes a while. So most of these people, if they don't go to friends or families, they're living in hotels. And that cost is just breaking people. So we actually have a couple of clients who had to move out of the hotel back into their house, even though it's still a construction zone. So we're obliging them, working around them, making it as clean as possible, making it so that they have the easiest time they possibly can while still doing the work, while still doing tiling and flooring and cabinet install and drywall and texture. So there's a lot of moving parts with finishing a house in order to get somebody back in there and actually have it be livable, because everybody lives in a house, but a lot of people just don't understand how much it takes to get a house back livable again. And we have people who are paying out of pocket for the whole thing that are self-insured, and we also have people that are getting FEMA aid and trying to go through their insurance companies. But what the insurance companies they're making you do is they make you catalog all this stuff. So after the hurricane comes through, you have to literally root through all of your stuff, catalog it, price it out. So there's a lot of work on the homeowner's end, and even to get paid. And at the end of the day, how much is a photo album of your wedding worth that's been ruined? How much is it worth for your baby's toddler shoes? And it's like some of this stuff is gone forever, and a little pair of baby shoes is only worth what, $20? But like the memories are just gone. Like a lot of these memories are gone, and people have to start over from new. And that's the hardest part for these people is, a lot of people are new to Florida. After COVID, we had an influx of people moving down into Florida because of all the restrictions. And, a lot of people aren't used to this. We as Floridians, I've been down here almost 8 years, we understand that we have a large hurricane season, and there's a good chance you're going to get hit with a hurricane. So if you're new to Florida and you're not used to this disaster every single year, then it kind of hits a little different.
Wow. That's a very interesting story. Also, another thing that possibly I wanted to ask here, Blake, was he actually has been living in Florida for several years, and I know he's dealt with different patients. So I would like to know a little bit about your story dealing with the people and what you have seen, and whether or not you've seen these people rebuild, or they're still waiting, or if they're going through red tape. What's your experience dealing with that?
Yeah, I stayed through the hurricanes locally here, and the devastation that we saw was just unbelievable, especially in the St. Pete Beach area. From there, clear up to Clearwater, and I'm sure above too. But I had patients and clients that I was seeing in St. Pete Beach, and after the first hurricane that came through was the total water damage. So I actually had
18 to 4 feet. That's what it was. It was between 18 to 4 feet of water.
Storm
surge.
And they were predicting the storm surge. And I have a coworker of mine for physical therapy, and she lives on the beach, and she sent pictures of water up to here, a good 4 feet or so high. And so her and her husband were literally up on the countertops weathering the storm. They stayed at their house. So they're total loss. They're just going to knock it down and rebuild, because way more than 50% damage for their home. So, and I also had a client that was in a high-rise unit. He was on the 3rd story. So for the first hurricane, he was okay. But the second hurricane, with the winds that came through here, his patio, nice glass windows, all got blown out. So his place, and he had a lot of stuff out there, which, in my opinion, was not smart. He shouldn't have had a lot of heirloom stuff. He had just came from Chicago, brought all of this stuff down, and lost most of it in the storm. So really awful situation. And I can tell you that when driving down there, as I mentioned on one of the previous videos, they had the bridges all closed off. And I mentioned people were stranded over there. And so it's a big part of the preparatory process. You have to be ready for this. You can't be assuming nothing's going to happen. But anyway, as I got back into that area to go see clients and patients that I have in that area, the amount of stuff just thrown out onto the streets, it was like a third world country, but worse. For quite some time, just piles of
hundreds
everything.
of thousands of pounds of trash lined the streets.
Unbelievable.
That we had to
everywhere.
Get loaded onto to dumpster trucks and taken out. Not to mention the beaches. When the water came in, it affected the sewer systems too. So all that water got mixed with sewage, and the sand got mixed with water that was mixed with sewage. So now all this beach sand that got washed inshore was now mixed with sewage, and it was now trash. So we have to truck all this sand out to be either disposed of or treated. So that was a huge hit to our beaches, is just all this sand that we have imported, because all of our sand beaches, that's why we have some of the best beaches in the country, is because we have imported sand. It's beautiful sand, and you know, that was a huge hit to the beaches, because all of the sand got mixed with the sewage water that came through, and we've just got to start over again.
Yeah, and that patient that I was mentioning, just before the hurricane, I had been working with this gentleman for quite some time, for several months, and one of the visits I did with him, we actually went out onto the beach from his condo unit, which is right on the water pretty much, and we walked down 2 steps right onto the beach, and then we took a walk as part of his exercise routine. And after the second hurricane had passed, when you went out to the edge where the 2 steps were, it was a 15-foot drop to get to the sand, to get to the beach. And the beach extended out a good 30 feet, 40 feet prior to the storm, and there was maybe 10 to 15 feet of beach actually left. So just mind-blowing to be there and standing there before and after. So you might think, oh, the storm comes through, okay, clean it up, everything. No, I mean, there's a lot of economic toll that happens with these hurricanes.
Wow. You know, today I decided to take a long walk along close here where Blake is at. I decided to just go ahead and de-stress myself. Took a long hour-and-a-half walk or so. And I still saw a lot of fences that were still devastated. It looks like a lot of these places, it belongs to either apartment complexes or like HOAs. But it looks like no one's really doing anything about it. There's a lot of fallen trees, fallen branches, a lot of debris, and just a lot of things that I feel like they still haven't gotten to. So the devastation is really great.
To touch on that, is the fences and the trees that aren't impeding roads and whatnot come last, because we have to take care of the residents and give them a habitable place to live. So, you know, a fence that's down or a tree that's down that's not in a road, that is the last thing on people's mind right now, especially if their home has been cut 4 feet down, all their drywall, all their cabinets, all their doors taken out of their house. The last thing they're thinking about is a fence. So we got to get these people back into their houses, back into a nice, comfortable living environment for them to live. And then we can come back through and do all this smaller, you know, fences and whatnot.
So what's your experience dealing with HOAs or apartment complexes? Do you have any experience dealing with them recently with the whole relief?
Fortunately, I do not live in an HOA community. HOAs, I feel like, to speak freely, are just a bunch of people looking for power. Like, they want to be able to control whatever aspect they possibly can in their life. And it's really detrimental to the freedoms of people who actually own houses and own property in the neighborhood. I don't think HOAs are good for anything other than to feed somebody's ego, personally. Wow. But, you know, as of FEMA and insurance companies, from my experience, from all of the houses we've done, all the houses we've quoted, all of these people that we've talked to who've been talking to all of their insurance agencies, and they're all the same. It doesn't matter if you're with Fidelity, if you're with, you know, State Farm, it doesn't matter. They do not want to pay you unless you have your ducks in a row. And the only way to do that is to come in directly after the storm, after you've been devastated, and take catalogs of the damage, take catalogs of the stuff. And some of these people are just so hurt and so just torn down by this storm, knowing that their home that they've built has been destroyed. The last thing on their mind right now is to sit down with a pen and paper and catalog all this stuff.
Wow. No, this is an amazing story. And a couple months ago, I took a trip over to Tennessee and North Carolina, saw the devastation over there. And this is a different magnitude out here. All of the communities here that have been devastated by these strong winds and these hurricanes, this is something that just cannot be forgotten. There's a lot of people out there that live in areas that haven't been impacted like this. You have areas like California that are ravaged by wildfires. You have other areas in part of the United States that get ravaged by tornadoes. These are things that we shouldn't forget about. There's a lot of people in necessity, and if you have the means to be able to help these people out, I highly recommend that you find a good charity or a good organization to be able to help, even if it's $5, $10, $15, whatever you can. These holidays are going to be rough for a lot of people, especially the people that don't have a home yet, because they're currently waiting on these insurance companies or possibly some of these FEMA funds to be able to get some of this relief effort. Is there anything else that you want to add regarding that?
Yeah, unfortunately, with all the work that we've done, with every single hour that we've spent trying to get these people back into their homes, I will tell you from personal experience, there are still a lot of people who haven't done anything to their home because they can't. And it's sad, it's devastating. And what we have to do as a community is come together. Like that's the main thing that I want to bring to this video is we as a people, we're all brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are, how much money you make. It doesn't matter. We're all brothers and sisters, and we're all fighting this fight together. We, as a company, we donated our services, we donated our materials, we donated our time to a local church up in Osmar that got devastated. It was completely flooded out. So we donated all of the time, we donated all of the materials, we donated everything we possibly could to get this small church back up in order. And we're coming to the end of that job now too, where they can actually start having services back in their church.
Yeah, that's very good to hear. It's not every day you hear that companies are willing to do that. And like I've mentioned before, there's a lot of selfish people out there in the world. So to have a company to offer that type of service to a church is great. That's awesome. Is there anything else that you want to add to this?
Yeah, incredible information and stories, and it just goes to show, you can't control Mother Nature sometimes, and you have to be as prepared as possible. And if you're going to take the risk and live in an area like this, to try and have the supplies necessary to weather these storms is absolutely essential. And the people that are going through this, our heart goes out to them, our thoughts and prayers, and hopefully with time and with good people like Nico and his company and other organizations that are playing a huge part in restoring the community, all the props in the world to those guys.
Yeah.
I just want to say one more thing. If you move to Florida, there's a 100% guarantee you will be hit with a hurricane in some way or another. Just know that before you move here. I mean, you have to be prepared. You have to understand that Florida is hit by hurricanes every single year. And it just depends on if it hits you directly, if it hits you indirectly. Florida gets hit by hurricanes every year. So if you want to move to Florida, just know that. So be prepared in your decision.
And Mother Nature is actually very wild recently. So it's also very good, and we've emphasized this in other videos as well, to prep as best as you can. And also you want to make sure that you protect those preps. We talked about that earlier. Here in the US, we have the right to bear arms. So it's very important that you as a household protect the things that you gather to prep. Because if someone is threatening you to take that away, if worst comes to worst, at least you have something to protect yourself with.
One more thing, I'd like to give a big shout out to my general contractor. His name's David Fago. The company is BDI Services of Tampa. We've done a lot of work, countless hours to help these people. And this man wakes up and works until he goes to bed. So he deserves the utmost respect because as of right now, we've done the church in Oldsmar and we've done we've actually done 2 churches in Oldsmar completely free for these people, just to get the one is a church and a school. We did it just to get the kids back into school. We spent countless hours, countless free hours, you know, weekdays, weekends, just to get these people back. And then the other church was a community church in Oldsmar, and we as a collective, we spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money just so people could have a sense of community back. And I don't think that many people would do exactly what he's done. So in my regards, he's one of my biggest mentors, and I look forward to, you know, becoming someone like him one day.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, this is another story for you guys. I'm really glad everybody continues to watch my videos, and I will continue to provide you good content that I think will make you a better person. And we'll go ahead and leave this video here. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions on what videos I should release in the future or any topics, please post them in the comments below. We'll see you soon. Take care.